It's a classic, though. I mean, this guy just thinks it up. He goes to the movie and he says, "Okay, let's do this sport." I mean, how
There
many
you go.
movie?
Oh, we must be on the air.
Do you hear this conversation going on? They don't even wait for me to announce that this is
We're out of
Sharon
control already.
from New Cleveland Radio, and it's time for One in the World with.
That's me, Paul Seaburn. Hey, hello, everyone, to everyone in podcast world. Hi, Karen Hale.
I guess
hello.
it's high. You started without me.
John and I, John DiNallo, our co-host, we don't see each other except for once a week. So we have to catch up on all the latest dirt and the Super Bowl.
That's right, Paul.
It was last week. But we'll catch up with everybody else out there. Yes, thank you for joining us at What in the World. That's where we're at today. Everybody's favorite weird news podcast, real news, sometimes strange, always funny. Believe it or not, John and Karen and everybody out there, I heard from one of our regular listener watchers this week. And he pointed out that I seem to mention more often than necessary, or that he thought was necessary, that it's real news, and we're not making any of this up, because that's the truth. And it's sometimes it's been frustrating for me at times when people ask me that. Well, that must be satire, or you must be you're like Weekly World News, that old newspaper that was at the grocery store where they made up the pictures of the presidents meeting aliens and all that. And if I said that the presidents met aliens, I would be making it up. But this stuff is straight from real news sources on the internet. So, but I want to thank this particular person for letting us know that he does listen to the show. So Mel, if you're out there today, thank you. And I need to say hello to everybody else, all of our regular listeners and watchers out there. If you're listening on a podcast, on whatever platform it is, thank you for doing that. If you're watching us on YouTube, please follow us, like us, and all that other stuff. I always mention we're on newclevelandradio.net, which is our platform of choice. It's a great platform for us to be on. Go there, find out how to download us, and then take a look at all the rest of the great podcasts that Karen Hale has. She does a super job of putting them together, something for everybody. So once you're done with us, take a look at what else she has to offer. Let's see, we're here every Tuesday at 3:30. If you'd like to listen to us live, I think there's a link on there to tell you how to do that.
There is.
If not, if you're listening to us in the future, I hope good things happen between now and when you're listening to us, because that's the reason why you tune into What in the World, because we don't have any bad news. We don't have political news, business news, health news, all that bad stuff that you get on all the other media. All we have is good, fun, strange stories. And we try to keep them quick. If you don't like one, please stick around for another 30 seconds or a minute, because we'll have another one to talk about. If we like to talk about trivia, if there's some trivia coming up, I always have the trivia horn to let you know. And if you don't like it, Bigfoot usually agrees with you, and I think Bigfoot's got his usual.
No, there he is. He's a
usual moan. That's right.
He's a full force.
So let's get right to it. Let me check the time over here. What in the world are we talking about today? As I always say on Facebook. By the way, if you're interested, I am on Facebook. I don't know how, just stick my name in there someplace in some box, and my page will come up. A lot of times I'll have some of these stories on Facebook. Also, you can go to mysteriousuniverse.org, where I'm the editor and head writer. Some of the longer stories and other interesting stories I have there. So please take a look at all that stuff. Let's see, what are we talking about today? Let's see, musical robots in Sweden. It's an interesting story. Bigfoot, government subsidies for Bigfoot are coming from the Canadian government. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You can major in UFOs at a college in Germany. That's for you, John.
Right.
Thanks,
They have
Paul.
an online university. My favorite story, a woman marrying a ghost in England. We love Valentine's Day was yesterday, so we're one day late with a nice little romantic story. If you're going to Las Vegas, be careful because it's raining black goop all over the place in Las Vegas. This is a big news story. If you're going to France, I had a story about blue beer. So interesting little thing to pick up at your tavern or pub. I don't know what they call a cafe. When you go to a cafe in France, ask for blue beer. Tell them that I sent you.
We'll do that.
Don't do that. Tell them John sent you.
Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. Come on now.
And if you don't like blue beer, I got a story about potato milk. Also from Sweden. The Swedes are apparently into drinking some weird stuff. So, and I've got the usual weird world records, some more odd news, some trivia. John is here with to do color commentary and also to give us his strange sport of the week. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And then we always wrap up with everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the CoHost. So let's get right to it with our first weird story of the day. And I think I have a picture to go along with this. So if you're looking on YouTube, if you watch us on YouTube, that'll be for you. If you don't, please take a look at us on YouTube, because every once in a while we have an unusual picture that goes along with what we're talking about. So this one comes from England. And this is a bloke, as they say in England, is a Beatles fan. And he's also not connected with this, but he is opening a record shop, which people don't do anymore, John and Karen. And does anybody open a record shop anymore? It's
No,
anybody,
I think because of the other ways of listening to music, LPs.
you download it. Yeah.
LPs and 45s are somewhat passe, although there is somewhat of a comeback. I know that,
Well,
yeah.
Apparently that's what this guy is doing. He is opening a record shop. So he's looking for a good sign, a good luck sign. And his wife, because he's hoping it'll be successful. So his wife provides him with one. And I'm going to show you exactly what his wife found. Now, take a look at that. She is eating her lunch and cuts open an apple.
That's
And in the
John
middle
Lennon.
it's close. Close. It's a Beatle. She thinks it's George Harrison. Now, and I wish I had a picture of George Harrison to put up against it, but it looks a little more like George Harrison. If you squint real hard and put your face up against the screen, she claims it's George Harrison.
Yeah, she's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. Staring out from the core. If you can't,
Yeah.
if you can't see it, it's right in the middle. And it's not just one of those weird things like the little burn marks on toast that people say looks like Jesus. This almost looks like a photograph in the hole, like the seeds are making his hair, or it's hard to describe, but it's closer to George Harrison than not.
You got it.
Yeah. So he thinks, oh, this is great. This is a message from George Harrison telling me that it's going to be it's going to be good for me to open this record shop. And then she screws it up because she looks at the apple core and she accidentally says, "Oh no!" And that went on. Yoko Ono. That was a Yoko Ono reference.
Yeah, we got it.
There we go. What did Bigfoot have to say about that one? Bigfoot says right off the bat, we're not doing well here. So, but I couldn't believe. Have you ever had that experience, John or Karen, where you burnt a piece of toast or cut something open and saw an image that reminded you of something?
Only when I was tasting those funny gummies that they sell down in Oberlin.
The other kind of funny gummies, not the ones you get when you go to the states where funny gummies are legal.
Yeah, right.
What did you see? What you were eating funny well, we need to hear about this. Now you're eating funny gummies. And what did you see?
Down in Oberlin, Ohio.
Oberlin, Ohio. Okay.
Yeah, they sell them.
So what was funny? Did you bite into one and see Abraham Lincoln, or what?
You can see a lot of things, when you eat those funny gummies.
Okay. I think we got it now. John, how about you?
No.
Nothing in a big vat of spaghetti.
You know what? No, I wait a minute. When I burn like Italian toast, Italian bread, okay, I love Italian bread toasted.
Oh yeah.
If I leave it in the cooker or the toaster oven or whatever it is, and it comes out black, that's a bad day for me. It's a bad start to the day. And I can tell you, I can say very confidently, Paul and Karen, there's
Okay.
been no image of anything. It's just burnt.
Yeah.
It's burnt bread is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. I cut open a prune once. I looked inside a prune, and I could have sworn I saw an image of Mick Jagger.
Oh no!
Except for the pit. The pit looked like Keith Richards.
Oh.
The rest of it.
Been all out of salt on the Rolling Stones today.
I think that's right. I'm not a big, I'm more of a Beatles fan than a Rolling Stones fan. But so you got to look at something like this though and think, is this worth anything? That's what everybody thinks these days. Can you sell it on eBay or now with one of these NFTs?
Sure. Oh yeah.
This could be worth a fortune. He could sell that and forget about the record shop.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Although who would buy it? I mean, George is dead. I don't know if his kids are interested in it.
Oh, how many Beatle fans are George Harrison fans throughout the world? I mean, somebody would be interested. I'm sure.
You better sell it fast. Apples don't last that long.
Yeah.
Or you need to find somebody with a more recent
face
singing sensation. Yeah,
that's more visible, right?
Yeah, like cut open a pear and find Katy Perry in it. That would be.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, it's Bad Joke Tuesday here.
Yes, it is.
Let's move on. I'm going to leave this up. I have another picture to go along this one. So, Karen, you mentioned Oberlin, Ohio, which is right down the road from Northeast Ohio. We all live in the Cleveland area, Northeast Ohio, very near here. In fact, almost the next city over from all of us is a city by the name of Hudson, Ohio. A beautiful town, very quaint, very picturesque. Great place to go if you want to go back in time, maybe. Nice little shops, great restaurant. Made the national news this week, as I'm sure Karen and John saw. The mayor, the mayor of Hudson, Ohio, says he was at a meeting of the city council, and they were discussing whether to renew the licenses, I guess it was, of fishing shanties, ice fishing shanties on the lake, on Hudson Springs Lake, which apparently they do every year. This year, he decided to object to it. And his reason for objecting was that if you legalize these tiny little shanties for ice fishing, the next thing you know, they'll be used for prostitution.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, prostitution. I said, when a politician says something like that, it can only mean one thing, that he's been caught doing that before.
Could be.
Yeah. So he wants to make sure to draw attention away from it, that nobody ever finds out that he did it. I mentioned this on Facebook. It reminded me of a movie. And I thought Hudson would be the perfect setting for an update to Pretty Woman. Bring back Richard Gere, bring back
Julia Roberts
to play the hooker with a heart, and base it around ice fishing in Hudson and call it Pretty Walleye. But I don't have I would try to find a good picture of an ice shanty, but everybody knows what they look like. They're tiny little things. Who could even imagine having sex in a ice fishing shanty? It's like having sex in a like a Mini Cooper, only standing up.
Or a phone booth.
In a phone booth. Yeah, well, nobody knows what a phone booth is anymore. We're showing our age. But excuse me, you're right. In a phone booth, standing up and parked in a freezer, because it's for that. The only reason you can go ice fishing is if you're on ice, which means it's freezing outside.
Yeah, Yeah, no kidding. Like, what about the temperature? I mean, you'd be freezing. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly.
It
Now,
would kill the mood, I think.
well,
Yeah.
where he may have gotten this idea, I do know a little bit about ice fishing, and I do have a picture here. You need to make a hole in the ice, and you use this device here for drilling the hole. So there's definitely some screwing going on.
Oh.
Oh boy. Well, you're 4 for 4 today so far.
For those of you who can't see the picture, you make the ice in the ice, the hole in the ice with a giant corkscrew, and that's where that comes from. But these people over here, they don't even have a shanty. They're just sitting out on the ice. A poor guy and his dog.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't even. Have you ever been ice fishing, John?
No, but I have a good friend of mine who fished many years on Lake Erie.
On Lake Erie.
And did the whole thing. And I'm not a fishing fan, and I'm not a real water person, so I'm going to safely say that I will never do that.
Both of those rule out ice fishing. To me, it's like sitting in an outhouse on the ice. It just doesn't. It's with a hole in front of you. I mean, if I'm going to sit and look at a hole, it's just going to be with water in it. It's going to remind me of when a toilet got backed up and I had to sit there. I couldn't think of anything pleasant that would come, even if I caught a big fish. Really. Well, how am I going to celebrate? I'm freezing out there.
I think it's for the fishing diehards. It's for the fishing diehards. Yeah. It's got to be.
So anyway, so that comes to you from the beautiful Hudson, Ohio. By the way, I just read in the news, it was either yesterday or today, that mayor is now the former mayor of Hudson, Ohio. He was, I don't know if he was embarrassed or if for some other, he wanted to spend more time with his family.
Oh, of course, yes.
As a result, he has resigned from his position. So God bless him. Maybe he can go ice fishing. I don't know.
Oh boy. Do something productive.
Now, Canada has been in the news quite a bit this past week, and we're not going to talk about that subject. We're going to talk about Bigfoot. So if you need proof that Canadians are serious about Bigfoot, probably more serious than Americans, this is the story for you. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture, and Sport, which, by the way, we should have something like that, a cabinet department of tourism, arts, culture, and sport, because we could use that. We could use money in all those areas. We could use more publicity in all those areas. So Canada's doing it right. They have a Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture, and Sport. They have a big budget. This year, they gave $1 million, a $1 million grant for the expansion of the Visitor Center and Sasquatch Museum in Harrison Hot Springs, which is in British Columbia. $1 million to a Sasquatch museum to help celebrate, and this is a quote, Harrison's long history with the Sasquatch and the Staleys people. And I'm sure I mispronounced that. It's the native culture of that particular area. So I want to apologize to them. But $1 million to a Bigfoot museum. My first thought is, shouldn't Bigfoot be getting a percentage of that? Because they wouldn't exist if it weren't for Bigfoot. It's full of
a lot to say about that.
That's right. They better watch, because Bigfoot might be pounding on the door demanding his let's see, do I have this is Bigfoot asking for money.
Hey, he needs money to live also, like everyone else.
There you go. That's right. The poor guy, he doesn't have any clothes. He lives in those little stick teepees that they build. Can you imagine our government doing something like this, giving money to a Bigfoot museum in, say, I know there's one in Maine. I know there's one in Florida. I know the answer to that. It's no. not a chance in hell. The first question they would ask if you appealed to them would be, what? Does Bigfoot vote? And the second question would be, well, then who did he vote for in the last election? And that would decide it right there. whether they would even consider it or table it for the next administration. But here's my thought. If we could get some money, we're here in Cleveland, Ohio, home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think we should open a Bigfoot Hall of Fame. It'd be the perfect thing that we could have the biggest cast of a Bigfoot foot. We could have the picture of the biggest Bigfoot. We could, John's exhibit would be the blurriest Bigfoot picture.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Always happens that way. Always
Yeah.
happens.
Or, I've mentioned this many times when we talk about Bigfoot. This particular area of the country has the two biggest and most well-known Bigfoot howls on record. So that would be the perfect place to have to exhibit them.
And maybe we should appeal to Shaquille O'Neal, to help fund this.
There you go.
Somebody who has a bigger foot than him.
Yeah, we have a contest.
Yeah.
Maybe that would appeal to Bigfoot to come in. Let's see. Let's do a foot off.
A foot off.
A foot off between Shaq and Bigfoot. Good idea, Karen. I like that.
Me too.
Let's put that on our to-do list. So Bigfoot gets $1 million in Canada. God bless the Canadians. They're doing something right. So speaking of tourism, this story comes from Spain. So tourists are flocking to this village in Spain. It's called Aceredo. Aceredo is, I'm sure it's not how it's pronounced, but we'll go with that. The village disappeared in 1992. How did it disappear? A witch cursed them. No, they built a reservoir, so they had to flood the village. So they moved everybody out and they flooded the village and it disappeared. It's always a sad thing when that happens. Guess what? It came back. There's been this massive drought, and so much water disappeared that it's now a ghost village. So it's been underwater for 30 years. All of a sudden, it reappeared. So stupid tourists. It's probably Americans. They're all coming to see the ghost village. So once they leave, then the local people come that used to live there, and they're looking for lost keys. They're looking for their remotes. They're looking for socks that they haven't been able to find in 30 years. But it's a big tourist attraction. This village that disappeared because of the reservoir has become a lost village. So anything can be a tourist attraction. I think that's the message right there. So we need to keep that in mind as we look for jobs to do in our advanced stages here. So here's a guy with a good job. This story comes from Sweden. We have a couple from Sweden. So robots are getting scary. I like to talk about robots, but the more advanced they get, the scarier they get. And this is from a musician, a Swedish composer. Fredrik Gran is his name. He's a cellist. does beautiful works on the cello. He has joined forces with the KUKA robotics company. I'm sure that stands for something in Swedish that I can't pronounce. So we'll go with that. KUKA, they have developed a robot cellist. That's a robot that plays the cello. And a tough instrument to master. The robot looks like those robots that you see on the assembly line at an automotive factory. And there's two of them, obviously. There's one that holds the bow and one that holds the string, the neck of the cello. And it plays with what they described as a unique mechanical style and technique that still sounded like a human when it made the bow go across the strings. And I listen to, you can hear recordings of it. It makes beautiful music, absolutely beautiful music. So I'm impressed. But I'll really be impressed if he can take that and make that robot play The Devil Went Down to Georgia by the Charlie Daniels Band. Now, if robots can do that, I give up. I bow down to the robot overlords.
They have some kind of extra power if they can do that, obviously.
We're done. Yeah, we are done. We are done if the robots can do that. When I think of what do you think of when you think of robots playing musical instruments, John and Karen and those listening to you out on in the podcast land?
Karen, go ahead.
The band at Disneyland, the Bears.
The Bears, yeah, the Bears. Did you say Carol Burnett?
No, Disneyland.
Oh, Disneyland, yeah. The Bears at Disneyland. John, what did you say?
I would say the Berenstein Bears. Is
Yeah.
that- is
Yeah,
that-
That's who they are. Yeah.
I was also thinking of Chuck E. Cheese. I don't think there's Chuck E. Cheese around anymore, but didn't they have a band?
They used to have a band, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I think of when I think of. Apparently, robots have been doing a lot of work on the side that we don't know about.
We're not aware.
Absolutely.
We're not
Yeah,
aware what they do, right?
Tell you what. Well, now we talked about this before. I think Keith Richards is a robot, if you ask me.
Yes, we've had this discussion.
He walks kind of stiff, doesn't he? And he never really looks up anymore. He just kind of looks down, and he's got a lot of metal dangling from his hats and from his hair. He did metal things. I think one of those is a plug, and in between songs they take him behind the stage and they plug him in and they give him a
Well, that's the first I've heard of that theory.
This is John. You got to watch next time you see take a look at the latest on YouTube, the latest concert.
I will.
When he disappears, I think he's going to get juiced up, and not the way we think he used to get juiced up. All right, now we all know how expensive college is. Just out of the universe, it's so expensive. John, I mention this all the time. John and I went to the same college together. We're fraternity brothers. We've known each other all that time. We couldn't afford to go to the college that we went to today.
Definitely not.
We were able to afford it on part-time jobs, scholarships, grants. Yeah, it was, and we could still drive a good used car. I hate to sound old, but my point is not that we're old. My point is that college is way too expensive. So
you got it.
That's right. So when college is that expensive, parents always say to their kids, when they say what they're going to ask them what they're going to major in, they're hoping that their kids pick something where they're going to make a lot of money, to pay off the loan.
Sure.
Yeah. So English never works. English isn't a good one anymore. So archaeology, I do a lot of articles on archaeology, and I always wonder about archaeologists. The kid comes home and says, he's a high school senior. He says, "Mom, I want to go to the University of Cairo and major in archaeology." What do they say? Well, it gets worse, because archaeologists digging in Roman latrines in Rome, of all places, they've been so this is what archaeologists do. They're digging in Roman latrines, and they find these big earthenware jugs. Now, if you find a jug in a latrine, and this is a multiple choice question, what do you think it might have been used for? There's none of the above. We know it's A. It was used as part of the latrine. Nonetheless, apparently, they've never proven once and for all that these jugs were being used as chamber pots, was the term that we eventually came up with. I mean, you don't have to be a bucket scientist to figure out that that's what they're for, right? But that's it. So these archaeologists just got money for a study to scrape the insides of these things and put it under a microscope and see what they could find. So what do you think they found? They found eggs of a species of parasitic intestinal worms that only live in intestines.
Yes. Yeah.
And the only way they can get out of the intestine is by doing what you do in a latrine or in a clay pot and take it to the latrine. In other words, they figured out that that's exactly what they were used for. I can see a kid coming home and saying, "Mom, you'll never guess what we studied in school today, in archaeology school, about what you find in chamber pots." That if I said that to my father, he'd say, "Okay, you're going back to majoring in accounting. All right, that's what you're going to do. You want any more money, you switch to accounting." I mean, what course is this? Advanced pooping techniques of the prehistoric times. What? So I often wonder. I wonder how you tell your parents that that's what you're going to do.
That's a puzzlement. That is a puzzlement.
Tough one. Yeah. I have another story just like that coming up in a second here. So we were talking about going to Las Vegas. I was at a christening for my lovely my grandnephew. And one of the people there, his godmother, by the way, was left today for vacation. And we were talking about Las Vegas as a place to go, which wasn't where she was going. But you don't want to go to Las Vegas right now, because in eastern Las Vegas, on the east side of the city, people have been complaining for 2 weeks now. They wake up in the morning and there's black goop dripped all over their cars and their houses. And if they leave their dog outside at night, it's got this black sticky goop on it. And no one of any authority will answer to them what this black goop is. Now, you would think that they'd scrape it off and take it to a lab or something. I don't know if they've done that yet. It seems strange that they wouldn't do that. So of course I'm trying to figure out if it were me, if they asked me what it was. And we just had Valentine's Day yesterday, so I'm thinking maybe there's a chocolate factory nearby. Like we have Mally's Chocolate here. And they happened to leave an open vat of dark chocolate out in the parking lot, and some pigeons got into it. And the next thing you know, pigeons go flying over. It's a thought, Karen. It could happen.
It's a thought.
It could happen. But it's never good when stuff falls from the sky. But
that is so true.
That's right. That's our motto. But I've been to Las Vegas, and it is extremely rare that anything, especially rain, falls from the sky in Las Vegas. It's one of the driest cities in the world. So if something falls from the sky in Las Vegas, the first thing they do is they open up a betting line on what it might be, because that's what they do in Las Vegas.
Yep.
Odds are 50 to 1. It's pigeon poop from the chocolate factory downtown. The only thing I've ever seen falling from the sky in Las Vegas is if you went to a place where they were playing Keno, and people will tear up their Keno cards and throw them in the air. That falls down. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I haven't seen anything else like that. Okay, so we're looking for our retirement businesses here. I've got one. We have to move to Scotland for it, but hear me out. I think this is a good one. So this is on Loch Ness, of course, in Drumandroket, I believe is the way it's pronounced. It's a Highland village. There's a house for sale that is right on Loch Ness. You look out the window, you're looking at Loch Ness. 5-bedroom home, $522,000. A bargain. So here's my plan. we pool our money. We buy this house, $522,000. We can do this. We might have to sell.
I'm listening.
We might have to sell something. Okay. Then John and I learn how to scuba dive. And what we do is every other day, one of us goes out into the water before it gets light, and we take a log, and we go underwater, and we take the log, and we move slowly back and forth in front of the house, and we rent it out as a B&B, and we guaranteed Loch Ness monster sightings. That's the way we're going to make our money.
Well,
how are you're going to guarantee them?
Guaranteed.
Financial backing is with us on this one, Paul. We have to talk.
I know. Well, all we need to do is raise 500. We need to do one of those GoFundMe's.
Go fund us the view of the Loch Ness monster.
That's it. So for our Loch Ness monster B&B,
right?
We'll get a. You could get a T-shirt. That's if you donate, we'll a T-shirt with the three of us on it. Yeah. There you go. Good idea.
Mooch out there. Oh boy.
So Venice, your home country, John, in Italy. A researcher in Venice has found out that one of the great names of Italian history, Marco Polo, has had a daughter out of wedlock in Venice. This was after he was done with his travels. He settled down and left in Venice, and they found a will that describes her existence, and she claimed that she had a strong and trusting relationship with her father. So the money, apparently some money got passed down to her children, and here's how the neighbors figured out that they were related to Marco Polo, because they had a pool, and these kids used to go swimming in the pool, And the ones would jump up and they'd yell Marco, and the other ones would jump up and they'd yell Grandpapa. And
Oh, you are on a roll today.
Aaron, you could say he's either 5 for 5 or 6 for 6. Depends.
there you go. I'll take 6 for 6. I'll take the bigger number. But I love this is a trivia question here. Do you know where that game got its name from? Marco Polo, the famous pool game.
I have no clue. I have no clue on that.
No clue. Karen, how about you?
I'm assuming it wasn't from Marco himself.
Actually, the theory is that it was. The theory is that he was not as good of an explorer as the writings say he was. He probably had a hand in writing them, so he made himself look good. But according to it says here, the legend has it that the famed explorer didn't really have a clue as to where he was going. And that's kind of the way the game is. You jump up and you're supposed to find people by sound, by their yelling. So
sure.
There you go. How about that, John? Now you got that
like
answer
that?
for the
I
next,
never knew
the
that.
next
I
trivia
never knew
contest.
that. Okay.
Contest. Okay, let's go back to why do I have more? I have another latrine story here. This is a beer story. We'll call it a beer story. Gotland, the largest island in Sweden, has a severe shortage of fresh water. So a local company, this comes from the lovely Donna, remembers her favorite musical, Urinetown. This sounds a lot like the plot of this musical. Local company is collecting urine from waterless urinals and specialized toilets all around the island. They collect the urine and they make concrete-like chunks out of it that they turn into fertilizer pellets. So they collect the urine, dry it out, make these chunks, and which they then grind up into fertilizer, and they take it to a barley farm where they fertilize the barley fields, which they then pick the barley, which goes to a local brewer that makes ale that they sell, that people drink and go to the waterless urinals, and it goes on and on. It's an endless cycle. It's almost like get ready for number 7, a perpetual motion machine. Perpetual motion machine. That's a true story. They're collecting urine to make fertilizer for a barley farm that they use to make beer. People, honest to God, will do anything for beer, apparently. Speaking of beer, this comes from France. France is what's the most famous cheese in France?
Oh, good question.
It's a color.
Brie?
Blue cheese.
Oh,
Blue cheese. Okay.
okay.
What we need to start having rehearsals again.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So it's only natural. The country most famous for blue cheese comes up with blue beer that they make. That I love the name of the company. It's the Hoppy Urban Brew Company has unveiled blue beer that they make from spirulina, which are the little planktons that grow in the ocean that whales eat. It's a natural algae that has a natural blue tint to it. So it's the same thing. They dry it up and they grind it up and they put it into the beer and they get blue beer, which is, apparently it's really good until you go to the bathroom and then you notice that your pee is green and everybody panics.
Excuse me, are we on a bathroom kick today?
I don't pick, I don't plan the news. I go with what the news gives me, Karen. You should have figured that out by now. The world is giving us.
I can see one of the comments coming across, about this show today, that it was pretty shitty.
Oh no! Now YouTube's gonna ban us.
Hey. Oh,
wait!
Couldn't help it, guys.
It gets worse.
That's all right, Kim.
The first thing I can think of is you drink too much of this, you're gonna start looking like Papa Smurf. And,
Yeah.
We're gonna have to have an intervention. You're looking too much like Papa Smurf. So then, as my mind works, I'm thinking, okay, Papa Smurf is already blue. I wonder what color his pee is. So,
Shit.
so I Googled, I Googled Papa Smurfs P. Believe it or not, this is the honest to God truth. And they say that Papa Smurf's pee is blue. Not only that, there is an actual cocktail called Smurf piss.
Oh,
Yes, it's made from 2 ingredients: lemonade and something called UV blue, which is a blueberry flavored vodka. It has if you Google it, it has a teal color to it, which is like light bluish green, apparently. So it just, I wanted to find what happened to my, oh, I know where it is. Okay. Oh, let's see. So we better change the subject here. Okay, so it's not just the Winter Olympics athletes that are having choking, that are choking under pressure, which a lot of them have, and that comes with the territory. Turns out monkeys also choke under pressure. Researchers at Georgia State University found that tufted capuchin monkeys, they're little tiny monkeys, choke under pressure when performing difficult tasks on a computer. Now, you know what makes me choke under pressure? Thinking about the fact that monkeys can do difficult things on a computer. That scares the heck out of me. Well,
I understand that. I'm with you on that, Paul. I'm with you on that.
if it's not robots, it's monkeys that are getting smarter. There was I don't have this story here, but I did a story for Monsieur's Universe that chimpanzees, they noticed a group of chimpanzees, one particular group that is actually treating health problems on each other. They would have like a sore. One would have a sore, and what they would do is they get insects, they catch insects and chew on them until they made a paste, and then the monkeys would apply this paste to other monkeys. Now they've seen monkeys do it to themselves, but they've never seen chimpanzees treat other chimpanzees until now. And this is right out of Planet of the Apes, because Smith, I think his name was Smith, Charlton Heston's character. The first 2 people he meets are 2 doctors, and they're amazed that he knows this kind of stuff. Just like now, I'm amazed that chimpanzees have these medical skills. I wonder, does your insurance pay for that? That's what I want to know. Anyways, I want to get to the ghosts. If we just had Halloween. Where's my calendar? We just had Valentine's Day yesterday, and we like to. I've done a number of stories on this show. You know, it's always tough to find a mate, tough even to find a date, and a lot of people get frustrated. So they when they get too tired, frustrated with humans, they turn to something else. They turn to aliens. They turn to ghosts, and that's what this story is. Now, I've talked about this lady before. Her name is, she's a singer, goes by one name, Brocarde is her name, from England, Oxfordshire, England. And last October, she announced that she had been seduced by Eduardo. And I know you remember this, John, because he's the ghost of a 35-year-old Victorian soldier who died by falling into a well. And I remember we had this discussion. You know, if you're going to marry,
yeah, we did. Yes, we did.
Why not one that died in battle heroically, said, defending the king? This guy fell down a well, but apparently he's romantic. The way he communicates with her is he waits till she's in the shower, and he writes messages on the glass when it steams up. He draws hearts. So she says. So Eduardo proposed to her. She woke up one morning, found a ring on her pillow, and when she went to take a shower, there was a question mark in the steam. So that's how she knew. She put that together in her little head. So now they're trying to find a church. So no churches will take it because they think that she's possessed and they want to exorcise her. And Eduardo's afraid that that'd be the end of him. But I think the churches are making the wrong decision here, because she revealed her guest list for the wedding. Whatever church has this wedding, the guest list will include Elvis, Marilyn Monroe, William Shakespeare. She's inviting, now, of course, this is the ghost of them, but she said she's inviting William Shakespeare. She said William Shakespeare would be warmly welcome, particularly if he's reading a sonnet, as long as he doesn't reenact Hamlet. We don't have enough time for that. She's got it all planned out,
Really?
So she's also inviting Henry VIII. Now, I'm not sure that Henry VIII is the best role model for a happy marriage.
I don't think he is.
No,
On that one, I don't think he is.
no. But to get back on the good side, John, she's inviting Johnny Cash, the ghost of Johnny Cash. Now, I think perfect. Get in contact, have Eduardo talk to Johnny Cash, say, okay, here's what we need for you to do. Change, I want you to sing I Walk the Line, but change it to I Walk the Bride. Wouldn't that be great, Johnny Cash singing I Walk the Bride?
Kind of clever. It's kind of clever, actually.
I think that would be nice, yeah. So, but then she says, okay, so Eduardo, who are you going to have for best man? And Eduardo tells her that his best friend was one of his fellow soldiers. He didn't fall down a well. Unfortunately, he went to hell for running an opium den. So he's having a hard time getting out.
Wow.
which is, I don't think going to hell for running an opium den is is on the list of what you go to hell for anymore. I don't think that.
Not now.
No. I always say, he's the poor guy. He's down he's down in hell. He's sitting next to Hitler. Hitler says, "What are you in for?" Well, I was running an opium den. And then there's the poor guy sitting next to them. What are you in for? Well, I ate meat on Friday. So anyway, so they're arguing over the wedding date. They can't decide on a wedding date. So she's going to do a Ouija board with him to come up with a date.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then they're trying to decide what to wear. So she has a Victorian outfit, and he wants a 3-piece Victorian suit, and she just can't see him in this 3-piece Victorian suit. So I thought I'd help her out. I happen to have a picture of a good outfit for him. This is our let's see if I got it right here. There we go. So this is what I suggest for Eduardo. What do you think? Nice hat and some sunglasses. No?
Yeah. No.
Typical Halloween ghost.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to me, this sounds like Brocarde is doing a publicity stunt because her records aren't selling very well. So she's trying to gin up as much publicity as she can for her career, based on this as the kids say, cockamamie idea of marrying a ghost. But I will be more than happy to be proven wrong if TMZ shows up and actually has videos of the wedding. And if Johnny Cash is going to be there and Marilyn Monroe, they should try it. So that's our ghost story for the week.
All right.
Whoa.
Yeah, how about that?
Okay.
So now, let's see. I think that brings us to What in the World of Sports with John DiNallo. And every week I ask John, who's a huge sports nut, no question about it, knows more about sports than all of us combined. So I ask him to find an unusual sport for all of us in the podcast world that you may not have heard of, maybe one that you'd like to participate in yourself. Or we talked about potentially forming a league in Cleveland. We could be the commissioners and owners of the teams. Yeah. So I think that the sport that John picked out for us this week is one of those kinds, Karen and everybody out there. So let's find out exactly what our sport for the week is. John, go take it away.
Okay.
I do have a picture coming
Good.
up.
That helps. Well, Karen, Paul, and our audience, the sport we have today is a full contact sport. Full contact.
Oh.
It is called or named Hammerfield.
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 Okay.
Hammerfield, invented by a chap by the name of Dave Simpson in 2012. So it's 10 years ago.
Okay. Oh, young sport. All right.
Yeah, the inspiration for him after seeing the blockbuster movie The Avengers, he was so moved by the performance of the character Thor that he actually created this sport.
Oh, the hammer guy.
Yes.
Wow.
And
The
the
hammer
hammer,
guy. Okay.
yes, yes. And let me tell you, Paul and Karen, about the hammer. The hammer in Hammerfield is based on the mythological hammer. It's pronounced Mjolnir,
Okay.
Mjolnir, excuse me, of Thor Odinson, which is the god of thunder.
God of Thunder. Yes. Oh yeah. Big time.
The myth tells us that Mjolnir never missed his target, and always returned to Thor's right hand.
Good weapon. Good
So
weapon. Okay.
if he's throwing it, it's returning. And
Boomerang hammer.
right, it's yes. And in English, Mjolnir means crusher.
Ooh.
And Thor was the only being that has the strength to lift it.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So we're
Yeah.
we're already eliminated from this sport.
Yeah, we're out. Sorry. Fortunately, the hammer in Hammerfield is made out of foam.
Oh,
Now
all
it's
right.
made out of foam, so anyone can lift it. So
Like
we
a
went from the not thinking we could do it to now we were sure we
Nerf.
can't.
It's a Nerf hammer.
We can't throw foam
Yeah.
around. We're in trouble here.
All right, cool.
Okay, so the playing field, it's a total of 68 meters wide and 100 meters long.
Oh, about a football field. Okay.
Yeah, yes, comparable.
Soccer
The
field.
goal- yes. The goal is actually a bell that rings 3 meters above the ground at each end.
Okay.
The only other equipment that's required is a ball. And get this, the ball is only the size of a tennis ball.
Okay. So we got a foam hammer and a
Correct.
tennis ball to run around with. Okay. So far we can handle that.
Yes. Each team consists of 8 players on the field, plus reserves. Of these 8 players, there are 4 hammer bearers and 4 soldiers.
Oh, military. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of symmetry here.
Yeah.
Now, the game starts when the referee puts the hammer in the center safe zone, after which the offense appoints a hammer bearer to start the offense. So the offense dictates or appoints the hammer bearer that's going to start the offense, and that's the origin of the game. Excuse me, that's how the game starts. That's how the game
Okay.
starts. The players of both teams, they're standing around the outside of the center safe zone on their own half. And then when the hammer bearer touches the hammer, the starting signal is blown, and the hammer bearer has only 3 seconds to make his move. Get that?
Okay.
3 seconds. The moment the hammer leaves the ground, the defense can attack, and then the game begins in earnest.
Got it.
The hammer bearers are responsible for making the points. Those are the people that score. Only the 4 hammer bearers are allowed to bear the hammer. So we have a pretty distinct breakdown here of who's on offense and who's on defense.
Right.
In defense, the hammerers, as they're called, can receive and pass the ball. The soldiers are responsible for defending the hammer bearers. They make sure the defensive team cannot tackle their hammer bearer.
Oh, okay. So you've got tackling.
Yes.
Somehow you have to have the hammer at the ball and the ball.
Right. Well, the players in the defensive team can only tackle a hammer bearer with the hammer when they are in possession of the ball, like you said.
Oh, okay. So you're the designated bad guy if you have the ball.
Yes. That's a good way to protocol. Bad.
I see. Okay. So you run away from the guy with the ball, even though what are you going to do? You got a foam hammer. You can't really beat him with a foam hammer.
That's correct.
Is beating with a foam hammer, do you get a flag?
I'm not sure of that. The rule, my research didn't bring that up, but let me look up and I'll get back to you on that. Okay. The soldiers of both teams can put pressure on their opponents, but are not allowed to tackle unless, again, they're in possession of the ball. Okay, I said that. I'm sorry. The tackle that is used in Hammerfield is the same as the rugby tackle. Paul, you play rugby, okay? So you can tackle from the waist down, but you cannot tackle from the waist up.
Okay.
Only below the waist.
Right. Less injuries.
Right. And in regard to scoring, there's 2 ways you can score. One, by throwing the hammer at the bell that we talked about at the outset.
Okay.
A hit is worth 1 point. Jumping and
Ah.
jumping and hitting the bell while holding the hammer is worth 2 points.
Oh, you think it'd be the reverse if you were
Yeah.
accurate enough to throw the hammer.
Well, but that's how this game is structured.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
At the end of the game, the team with the most points wins, obviously.
Oh, okay. Obviously. All right.
Hammerfield, it really sounds like a fun, but it can be a rough sport. It's rugged.
Yeah.
And after that running, tackling in particular and hammering, you will definitely be Thor all over.
Oh,
just making sure everybody's listening.
There we go. John.
Thank you.
John gets a point for that one. All right. Wow. Very good. Hammerfield. Hammerfield. Well, I've never heard of Hammerfield. That's
me either. I'll pass on it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of fun. What I find interesting though is just think of how many people watched the movie The Avengers.
Okay? Yeah.
Why did this person be perceptive enough or inspired enough, so to speak, to create a sport after it? It's a full contact sport.
Sure. Well, now my question is, it's been around for 10 years. Why is there not the American Association of Hammerfield? Why are there not teams in every major city? The movie was a huge.
I knew either you or Karen in particular would ask that question because she's always interested about associations and federations and so forth.
Yeah. Well, as always, I go looking for pictures of because John doesn't always remember when we do things, the things that we did back in the old days, and it turns out that John and I both participated in this sport at one time.
I don't remember. I don't recall.
Yeah, I knew you wouldn't remember, so that's why I brought a couple of pictures.
What do we have?
I think the first one is John in his Hammerfield outfit. Let's see. There we go. That's an action figure.
Yeah.
That's an action figure of John in his outfit. Now, obviously, very
looking
very
Thor-like.
well dressed.
Yeah.
Very Thor-like. That's right. Very Thor-like. Large hammer. If you know what I mean. Now I also have a picture of me. There we go. Not quite as menacing.
Miniature version? What are you, the miniature version of that?
But a bigger hammer. Looks like I have a bigger hammer, John. Or maybe it's just the proportion.
Stop bragging.
It's a proportion thing, I think.
Well, here's what happened, Karen. So we had to flip a coin to begin the game and choose your hammer. And John is he's a pro at flipping coin. Here you go. So John got the bigger hammer and I ended up with the smaller one as always. But I know it was a fun game. And I think it ended in a tie, if I'm not mistaken, John. So,
it's I honestly, Senator, can't recall.
Don't recall that. Well, thank you anyways, John, for that great sport of Hammerfield.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Speaking of ending in a tie, we are about to play Bluff the CoHost, everybody's favorite weird news game. For those of you who have not been involved with Bluff the CoHost before, every week I have 3 stories similar to the ones that we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference: some of these may be a bluff. In other words, they're not real. And it's up to Karen and John and you playing at home to decide if they're real or a bluff. Las Vegas has a line on this. We have betting is allowed. So place your bet. Karen and John, put your hands on the buzzers and let's get ready with question number 1 from Bluff the CoHost. You've heard of cow's milk, soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, and even potato milk. Now get ready for moth milk. A university researcher in Japan had decided that what tea needs is milk from the moths that eat the flowers of those tea plants. No, he doesn't use tweezers to milk millions of moths. It's worse than that. He feeds the flowers to moth larvae and then collects their droppings. He dries them, adds water, labels it according to the tea that the larvae ate, and sells it as moth milk. You may not agree, but Japanese tea drinkers do. The university is working on 20 different varieties of moth milk using different flowers and the various moth larvae that eat them. It sounds gross, but have you tried oat milk? So, moth milk made to go with the tea that the moth larvae ate. Real or bluff, Karen? What do you say? You know how the Japanese are. They have their weird foods.
Yeah. God, why can't milk just come from cows and goats?
We could do a whole show on that.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping this is fake. I don't want it to be real.
So Karen says moth milk is a bluff. Okay.
Yeah.
John, how about you?
Right with Karen on this one. I mean, not only I hope it's fake. I mean, this whole thing of the process is preposterous. I mean, how do you wait a minute? It's when you started explaining how he does that with the come on, it's preposterous. It's gotta be false.
Wow.
It's gotta be false.
John is almost at a loss for words on this one.
I am. I'm all fired up over this. I'm all fired up over this.
Okay, so have you ever had oat milk, by the way, John?
No, I'm trying to think. I don't think I have.
Okay.
Yeah, so I really couldn't offer an opinion. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to guess that neither one of you would want moth milk, especially since you both think it's a bluff. Okay, all right, so you both think it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say you're both wrong. That's a real story.
Oh, that is
Japanese will eat anything. If you eat sushi.
Wait a minute. How do people have time to do these things?
We could do a show on that, John.
We could do a spin-off show, a spin-off podcast on that. I mean, how do you
and we could call it Retirement Ideas for John, Karen, and Paul.
You know what? I think there's some validity to this. I think it kind of makes sense. We should talk further after the show about this.
I think so. Yeah, you could set up all these larvae in your basement. Next thing you know, you got moth milk to sell it.
Let's put this. I know I would lose interest in the first hour of trying to do something.
We could all go on Shark Tank together.
Oh, on show, perfect.
Oh, yeah, we could try to
perfect idea here. I would love to do that. Okay, great. So let's see. The score so far is 0-0. Okay, let's go to story number 2. Hand on the buzzards. Another food story. You've heard of Moose Tracks ice cream. Now, a winery in Maine is making Moose Tracks wine. But unlike the ice cream, real moose are involved. By the way, the plural of moose is moose. The winery is in the middle of Maine moose country, and many moose migrate through its growing fields. So the owner got the idea to put low troughs across some of their paths and fill them with grapes. As the moose walk through, they stop the grapes into juice and pulp, which is then mixed into wine barrels, aged, and sold as Moose Track wine made by real moose. The most popular is a Chardonnay they call Moosenet. It's a hit at the winery's wine tastings. A national rollout is expected soon, and they're in talks with a dairy to make Moose Track wine-infused ice cream. All right, Moose Track wine, John. What do you say? Made by real moose, real or bluff?
You know, I got a good vibe on this one. I'm going with this one. I'm going to say it. I can see. I mean, I can see the
milk. No, moose wine. Yes. Okay.
Wine, yes. But I can see them stomping to get the juice from the grapes. Not so sure about the Moose Tracks ice cream with wine, from wine derived that way, but I'm going to go with the first part. So I'm going to say it's
okay.
true.
All right, moose wine. All right. So John says moose wine's a real thing. Karen, what do you say?
Well, you showed us that Oreo wine a couple weeks ago. So if people are So if they're making Oreo wine, obviously they could make Moose Tracks wine. And I'm going to say it's true, even though I wouldn't drink it.
Oh, you already answered my question. So both of you say it's true. Have you ever had Moose Track ice cream? I enjoy that stuff.
It's good as ice cream. Yeah.
I go on that record as saying it's my favorite ice cream.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't. But you wouldn't try Moose Track wine infused ice cream.
I think the wine would be okay.
The wine would be okay.
Would
Okay.
be okay, but
So
I'm not going with the ice cream, I don't think.
okay. Okay. So John says it's true. Karen says it's true. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, "Sorry, you're gonna have a long wait. That's a bluff."
Oh, you know,
Oh.
side. We're on the wrong
Moose
side.
made wine. Wait, what are you two people? What kind of gummy bears are you eating?
Hey, if you make Oreo wine, why not moose tracks?
Yeah, right, exactly. Don't you think that a huge moose, okay, with their footprint and whatever, just think how they would stomp the grapes.
Maybe they put boots on the moose
Yeah.
so that they could.
Impossible. Moose are too big. Okay.
Okay. Well, I want to point out that you both are overdue so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Don't rub it in.
Yeah,
wait till you hear this one. It's another kind of a food oriented story for number 3. So
Okay.
hands on the buzzers. Let's get right to this one. It it turns out cornhole isn't just something you do at picnics, parties, and backyard barbecues. A woman in Florida gave up teaching after 20 years and now makes more money as a professional cornhole player. She got into cornhole as a way to get into shape after her pregnancy and found out she was pretty good at it. After she and her husband started winning a lot playing at bars, she did some research and found a professional cornhole league in Florida. Since cornholing involves a lot of travel, she leaves her husband to watch the kids and has a new doubles partner. Her husband doesn't mind because she made $50,000 last year between her winnings and sponsorships. And throwing beanbags through holes is much less stressful than grading papers and going to parent-teacher conferences. So the lady who gave up teaching made $50,000 last year as a professional cornholer, Karen. Real or bluff?
You better not be bluffing me. It sounds like it's real.
Okay. All right. Professional cornholing. This sounds like a sport that we could actually do. How about you, John? What do you say? Professional cornholer.
I'm going to say it's real because cornhole is so popular. I could see somebody doing, this professionally. Maybe I'm not sure. I was making that much money at it, but no, I would say it's true. I'm going to say it's true also. True.
Would you watch the Super Bowl of cornholing?
But you want to play cornhole with others, and it's okay, but it doesn't. It's not top of my list.
Here's the bigger question: who would you get for the halftime entertainment?
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen. Okay, so both Karen and John say that not only is professional cornholing a real thing, but a lady actually made $50,000 last year doing it. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say congratulations to both of you. That is a real story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very good. At least
I forgot to mention, points were doubled, so we did end up in a tie, 2-2.
Well, at least we didn't lose
At least
completely.
we didn't lose all 3. Yeah, exactly.
Didn't embarrass yourself. That's what we like to say. Okay. All right. So that brings us to the end of another edition of What in the World. I want to thank Karen Hale, our producer and media mogul and co-host at newclevelandradio.net. Thanks for everything you do there. Everybody check out all the podcasts, including ours. And please like us, follow us, do all those wonderful things so that we know that you're out there. And we know that a lot of you are out there. So I want to say hello to everybody. And thank you so much for listening and following us. And please come back next week. And I want to thank John DiNallo, as always, my old friend, color commentary and host of What in the World of Sports. John, thanks again. We'll see you next week, along with everybody else. Have a great week.
Sounds
and
good.
a special,
Karen.
special hello to Gabriella Pritchard. I don't know who she is.
Really?
Do you know who she is?
What's that?
Do you know her?
I believe so, from Facebook. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
How about
Gabriella
that?
has
Wow.
been listening today. So
Great. Not from Abu Dhabi. I believe she's a little closer than our listeners in Abu Dhabi, right?
okay.
Dubai.
Well, we've got listeners worldwide. So
there you go.